Do you like blood, gore, violence? Well, then you've come to the right place. This is a brand new podcast called Talk Bloody to Me by horror fans for horror fans. Welcome to the new show. I'm Matt,
And I'm Breezy.
and we are here today for the first time ever. How are you feeling today, Breezy?
I'm pretty good. I am so excited about this brand new podcast, and I hope everybody that listens to or views this. I hope you have a wonderful time. I hope you stick with us as we are trying to grow, and let's just have some fun.
Exactly. This is our very first time, so it might not be totally finished, polished product, but we're going to learn as we go and it's going to get better and better. So we
Of
appreciate you
course.
listening. We decided to get going right away off the bat with a really sort of iconic horror movie that came out in the last few years in 2016. So I guess it's been a while, but it's called Terrifier. And Terrifier is all about Art the Clown. And so, kind of some of these movies Breezy has seen and I haven't, because I was really big into horror in the 80s and the 90s, like in the Freddy Kruegers and the Michael Myers. And then I kind of got out of it for a while. And now I'm getting back in. And so Breezy's got to bring me up to speed on some of these movies that I have
Oh, there's
had.
a lot of movies you gotta bring up to speed there,
Yeah,
man.
exactly. So we figured we'd dive right in the deep end with Terrifier. And after she showed me a few other ones, like Would You Rather and Cabin Fever. But today we'll talk about Terrifier. But Breezy said before we talk about Terrifier, we have to watch All Hallows Eve because that's the
Mhm.
first appearance of Art the Clown. And so I watched All Hallows Eve and I really enjoyed it a lot. Um, it's basically a few short stories. There's a babysitter finds a videotape in the kid's candy bag and they watch it, and then there's stories, and then some stuff happens. And Art the Clown is in it in one of the stories and is kind of also the main character of the whole thing. What do you think about All Hallows Eve, Breezy?
It's a little bit different. It was
Yeah.
kind of like slow paced.
Yeah.
And but I wish that, Terrifier can be, I should say, Art the Clown.
Mhm.
I wish that he can come in a little bit more sooner in the movie.
Yeah, definitely.
But, he came in like the very, very last of the ending of Hallows Eve 1.
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
like it's preparing you for, you know, All Hallows Eve 2, but he doesn't really come in Hallows Eve 2.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's always like really preparing you for really Terrifier.
Yep. And Art the Clown he's kind of like a mime clown. He's all black and white and he never talks or makes noise. Like even when he laughs or screams, he doesn't make noise. He just like makes the gesture or he makes the laughing motion. And he's creepy as hell, but he's also
But
kind of
he's funny.
he's funny, exactly. And he's also kind of goofy and silly looking, and people don't take him seriously at first. It's like a lot of the people are like, look at this bozo, look at this jackass. The one,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk about that a little later. But so his whole thing is he kind of stalks this woman, and he's more or less just like a psycho with a garbage bag full of crazy crap. But at one point, he does rip his way out of the ground like he's a zombie or something, and that's kind of crazy. So
Yeah.
he does seem to have like more than human powers at times.
Hmm.
So that's kind of Art the Clown and All Hallows Eve.
So do you know who played Art the Clown on the first one?
I don't know.
That person is Mike Gadolini. I don't know how you spell his last name.
Okay.
And the first Terrifier is David Howard Thornton, which combine the two between, Mike and David. Me personally, I like David Howard Thornton
Yeah.
versus, Mike. Because I feel like the David is more aggressive. However, Mike is more aggressive too. But I just like David Howard Thornton. He does a really good job with art.
Yeah, I agree totally. Um, and so then, like Breezy said, then it was like we were going to watch All Hallows Eve 2, and there is no Art the Clown in All Hallows Eve 2. It's basically just a bunch more of shorter stories, and they're actually, I think they're kind of dumb. In All
Yep.
Hallows Eve 1, there's like an alien story where at least the aliens look kind of badass and cool, but in All Hallows Eve 2, the stories are kind of dumb. And then the main villain is a guy with like a pumpkin mask that just seems like an obvious ripoff of Michael Myers because he like stands outside the window in the exact same pose and has the jumpsuit and everything.
Yeah. It's pretty much like a pumpkin killer type deal. It's probably like Halloween, like Hallows Eve,
Hmm.
Halloween Eve probably type deal movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So I really don't get the point of Hallows Eve too, to be honest.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like they had a film festival somewhere or
Mhm.
something where a bunch of people submitted short films and then the director was just like, I know what I'll do. I'll slap all these together with like a pumpkin guy and call it All Hallows Eve 2. And there you
Right.
go.
Well, Damien Lamone, or how you pronounce his last name, he did do Hallows Eve 1, but he
Hmm.
didn't do Hallows Eve 2. So that could be
Okay,
why it
that's
kind of,
probably why.
yeah.
It lacks a lot of the same sort of style and the feel of it.
Hmm.
It feels more just cheesy and kind of just I don't know, I want to say
Yeah,
commercial, but just hokey, I think is the right word.
right.
Yeah. So then moving on to the main attraction. Well, I think the real main attraction is probably Terrifier 2, but we haven't gotten to there yet because I have to start with Terrifier 1, the first one, and good grief, I can see what all the fuss is about. I can understand why people have been talking about this movie. I liked it a lot, actually. I really enjoyed it. Um, I really like how it looks, like the color correction or some of the things where
Mm.
it almost looks like it's an old VHS movie, but at the same time, it's a new digital movie, if that makes any
Like kind of
sense.
like a retro type feeling.
Yeah, and it's definitely like a slasher movie, like a almost like a Jason or a Freddy or something, as opposed to some of the more, lately they've had more kind of like the thoughtful horror movies. And this is like just getting back to like murder and mayhem and carnage and gore.
I consider Terrifier as a slasher movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
And so, do we want to give just like a little general overview before we dive into the spoilers?
Sure.
Okay. I'd say
Why not?
the general overview is it's Art the Clown. And as we said before, he's like a mime, he's the unholy terror that is a mime clown. And he basically uh gets his eyes on a pair of girls, women from like that were out drinking on Halloween,
Mm.
and then he kind of just sort of torments them, and ultimately it gets really gory and violent, and some other
Yeah.
random
Yeah.
yahoos inadvertently get involved and fall prey to the carnage and the mayhem.
And the blonde chick with the scarecrow, she is so funny. Like when they sit down at the pizza restaurant
Yeah.
and she's like just sitting on an art and like have like a picture taken, like, see, so like, oh my
Yeah. Yeah, so it starts off, they're in like a pizza restaurant, and Art the Clown is sitting in the booth staring at, there's the dark-haired girl, and he's like making all kinds of creepy faces at her, and she's freaked out. And then the blonde girl's all like, he's harmless. What's the big deal? So yeah, like you said, she just plops down next to him and takes a
yeah.
selfie. And then that reminded me last year of at Crypticon, there was the guy dressed up like Art the Clown, and everyone was taking selfies with him. And I was like, see, it's true. People just want to take selfies with Art the Clown.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I think that was Ryan, because Ryan
Oh,
does play a good role.
oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, and then he just does all kinds of wacky stuff. He has an abandoned building that he lives in, and
Mhm.
that's where they go. So I guess we'll get to the spoilers now a little bit and kind of take you through the movie. So it starts off, it's like an interview show, and they're interviewing a woman, and they say that she's the only survivor of the massacre last year with the killer Art the Clown. And then they show her, and she has just a really weird, messed up face, like just crazy looking. And so I'm thinking, oh, is this from All Hallows Eve? Is this is this one of the people from All Hallows Eve, or is this something that took place after the end of All Hallows Eve? So I'm like all curious. And then they do a quick little interview, and then it shows reporter in the dressing room, and she's like, "Oh my God, that woman was so ugly. If I ever looked like that, just put me out of my misery." And she's like, "No, I'm
Yep.
serious." And then she turns around, and who's there? It's the
Art.
yeah, no, it's the
It's
crazy
like
faced
art.
lady.
Well, yeah, that crazy face lady, but I'm pretty sure Terrifier did that art.
Yeah, exactly. So then she murders the woman, and then you're like, oh my gosh, this woman's crazy. And then she like just laughs. And then during the interview, they said Art the Clown was presumed dead, and they show Art the Clown. Then it cuts to Art the Clown gathering up his bag full of goodies and going out for his night on the town. And it's like, what? How is Art the Clown alive if he was presumed dead? And so it's mysterious. And so then it goes to the two women. Um, let's see, what are their actual character names? Uh,
Tyra.
Tyra, yeah, that's the blonde, right?
That's the short hair
Tara.
brown with the skeleton.
Oh, okay, yep, Tara. And
Skeleton
then,
outfit.
oh yes, yeah, skeleton outfit. That's the one that Art really kind of homes in on. And then there's what's Dawn is the blonde woman, just like a scarecrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I always forget her name. It's always
yeah,
Tyra. I always remember Tyra.
yeah. And so they are drunk. They were at a party or a bar, and they say she's too drunk to drive, so they go to the nearby pizza restaurant to sober up. And while they're there, who should walk in but Art the Clown?
Yeah.
And this is the part we kind of talked about before. But what were when you first saw this movie? What were some of your feelings when you see Art the Clown in the pizza restaurant?
Well, when he said the first time I seen that, and those chicks are like, well, Tyra was like, oh my God, I don't want to be, this guy is creepy.
Yeah,
And the blonde chick is like, look who's here. He said, well, your boyfriend or
yeah,
something like that. And I was just like laughing. And he's just sitting there like doing this and he's doing this and doing like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, this is a funny Art the Clown.
yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention he did see him outside by the car, and the dark haired woman was like, "Ooh, look at this freak," and the blonde was like, "Hey, honey, come over here, give us a ride home," and like, so she kind of like called him out, like was yelling, and then she like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And then the owner of the pizza restaurant kind of gets involved, and sort of asks him what he wants to order, and he doesn't talk to him, so then the owner gets mad. And then Art buys a ring, gives it to Tyra, and then he leaves to the back of the room, and then the owner comes over, checks on them, and then he comes out, throws Art the Clown out, and you just hear him tell his coworker to grab a bottle of bleach. And you don't know what happened back there, but he was really mad at Art. It called him a sick bastard or something, sick fuck, and then told the coworker to get a bottle of bleach. So for the moment, it's left to your imagination what's in the bathroom. And so the two girls are walking down the street, and what do they say?
Hey, Art. Or I
Yeah,
forgot what I forgot actually what they said. I'm
yeah,
obsessed with Art. I'm
that's
sorry.
okay. Well, what did Art do in the bathroom? The women are trying to guess, and Don says he probably went back there and jerked off and jizzed all over, thinking of you.
Oh, so he pretty much like took a massive pretty much shit and fucking throw it all over the walls.
Yeah, and spelt
Pretty
out his
much.
name,
Yeah,
which is
spelling his name in crap.
which I
And
don't
I'm like,
know.
that's fucking nasty.
To me, that's somehow worse than if he had just jacked off and come on. That's we can get into the
Oh
nitty gritty of that later.
my God, that's nasty, man.
Yes. But yeah, so that's what happens. So then they get back to their car and their tire is slashed. And they're like, what the hell happened? So then she's like, I don't have a spare. The spare was on the car. And so they're waiting. And she has to, the dark haired girl has to take a pee. She sees like a maintenance guy come out of this creepy old building. So she asks if she can go in there to go take a leak. He reluctantly agrees. They go in, and then they show Art having some fun at the pizza place. And do you remember what does he do to the workers there?
One, he smashes the head in.
Yeah.
after the fact that there's a head with candles in his like eyeballs just dripping down blood. It actually kind of looked really, really cool.
Yeah.
I
Basically kind
loved
of
it.
made the owner of the restaurant into a human jack-o'-lantern, except with a candle in each eyeball and a candle in his mouth.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other guy, he saws his head off with like a hacksaw, I think,
Yep.
if I remember right.
I think so.
Yeah. So then, so then Tyra's in the bath in the creepy building. The other guy's an exterminator, says the place is infested with rats. He's gonna go spray the bejesus out of it. He puts on his earbuds and walks away. And she goes to the bathroom, and then she runs into like a crazy homeless lady that has like a doll that she thinks is her daughter. And
Which
they
is
had,
creepy.
yeah, which is really creepy. And then they cut back to Dawn sitting in the car, and she hears, oh, they had a whole big conversation about what if it was that clown that slashed your tire. And she's like, oh, you're so stupid. He's harmless. He's just a big goofball. She's like, that guy that unlocked the building is creepier looking than that clown was. So she's listening to the radio, and she hears that there was two murders at a pizzeria, and
Mhm.
that the suspect was a male dressed in a white and black clown outfit. And she's like, holy shit. And the car door opens, and you won't be like, and she says, you won't believe what they just said on the radio. And she looks over, and who does she see, Breezy?
Art.
Exactly. Yes. There he is with a big smile on his
Yep.
face. So they leave, and then what happens after that? I forget.
Well, ends up taking her down. I think like down to like, the basement. I think it's the same place.
It's the same building. Oh yeah, that's right. Art
I think
finds
yeah,
he finds
where
her
Tyra's
on
at.
he finds her, and she tries to yell for help to the exterminator, but he has his back turned and his earbuds in, so he doesn't hear. So he grabs her and ties her up down in the basement. And so now you have the blonde, which you don't know what happened to her. You have her tied up in a chair, and then you have a random exterminator and a random doll lady wandering around the premises as well. Oh, and she called her sister to come get them. And so the sister is on the way to the building.
Yep,
Yep.
because Tyra's phone died.
Yep. So she called from Dawn's phone.
Hmm.
So then Art has her tied up. He threatens her with a hacksaw, like he's gonna take off like her head. And then he stops, and then he goes over to where he has a large sheet hanging. And this is a part that I had heard of whenever anyone ever mentioned the movie Terrifier. This is the part anyone always mentions. And he pulls out down the sheet, and Breezy, what is under the sheet?
The blonde chick, her friend.
Yep. And how is she arranged?
She is pretty much hang upside down, kind of like a pig.
Yep. And she's topless, and her arms are tied behind her back, and she's hanging by her
Yep.
ankles.
And
And
then Art takes like those handsaw pretty much and just
yeah,
rips her underwear and start going from her crotch all the way down.
yeah.
Oh
and
my
it's
God.
and it's pretty graphic.
When I first seen that part, I'm like, God dang.
Yeah.
I at first I could not watch. I
It
was like,
it's
mm,
pretty brutal. It's pretty rough.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she's still living halfway through.
Oh yeah.
I'm
She's
sorry,
she's
there's
like she's
absolutely
like
no way.
twitching and kicking and wiggling and
Yeah, and still screaming.
yeah, like
Yeah, no way.
while her friend watches the whole time.
Hmm.
And then what, what happens? He
And then she breaks away.
She breaks away. He shoots her, but then runs out of bullets before she's completely dead. And he does some really funny stuff where he's like acting like he's really frustrated, like he can't believe the gun's out of bullets, and just like his day has been just one fucking thing after another. Like he can't
Mhm.
believe this shit. And the doll lady saw him shoot her, so she runs, finds the exterminator, says, "You gotta help, you gotta help." He's basically like, "Get the hell out of here, you crazy lady," pushes her away, and then he calls his buddy, like, "You gotta come help me." So now his buddy is en route along with the sister of the other lady. And then you
Yep.
got Dawn has been split in half, and you have Tyra shot on the floor, bleeding. So Art comes back with,
And he actually shoots her right at like in the leg or in the calf or somewhere in there.
yeah,
So she's pretty much limping at this point.
yeah. And then he goes back and he finishes her off, shoots her in the face several times. And it's cool. It's interesting because like most horror movies, there's like the final girl, there's kind of the cliche of like the girl that lives to the end and fights the monster and wins. And that's what I
Yeah.
was expecting her to be. And here we are, like maybe just a little over halfway through the movie, and she's shot, and they make it very clear she's shot and dead and over
Oh, so
with.
you thought that Tyra was gonna
Yeah.
run away and kill him?
Yep, that's what
Oh,
I
okay.
thought. But no, Terrifier doesn't go down like that.
No, he does not.
So I think it's about this time he runs into the Art runs into the exterminator, clonks him on the back of the head with a hammer, and knocks him at least out. You don't really know for sure. And then the sister shows up, and Art hears Don's phone ring because Don is now hanging upside down in half in the basement. And so he texts the sister to come around the back of the building because we need help back here. So she comes around back, and who does he find is oh, there's I don't remember the exact order, but the homeless woman finds Art holding her doll, and she freaks
Mhm.
out because she thinks it's a like her actual baby.
Yep.
And she's kind of like having this whole moment, like, and she's kind of like trying to comfort him and be like, has a mother never loved you? And for a minute it looks like it's working, but spoiler alert, it doesn't work. She ends up skinned and maimed and scalped, and
And Art, I believe Art did hold the baby and pretend that no, 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 he was acting like a baby. And she
yep,
was like he was like
it's
doing like that.
he
That's
was
why
sucking
she
his
like,
thumb,
yeah.
yeah.
Yep. I was like, that's kind of weird, but that's Art. He has to play that. So
It was really, it kind of made it look like the movie kind of tricks you because it kind of makes you think like she's maybe getting through to him and she's gonna be like gonna change him, and then like literally the next time you see her she's like skinned and still alive but like missing the top of her head. And
yeah, Art will play ya. He'd be
yeah.
like, okay, I'll be nice, and then all of a sudden I will kill you.
So um she comes in, thinks she sees her sister injured on the floor. There's a dark haired appears to be woman laying on the floor, but we already saw that her sister was quite thoroughly dead. And so we know, the audience, that this isn't her sister, whoever this is. Maybe it's the homeless woman. But who is it, Breezy?
Tyra. It's Tyra.
Yeah, she's dead. And Art the Clown has wearing the homeless woman's hair and skin as like an outfit.
Yeah, that was really weird.
It's kind of like Silence of the Lambs, except on crack. On
Yeah,
meth.
yeah, pretty much.
It's like if you thought Buffalo Bob was messed up, Art the Clown takes it to 11.
Yeah. Yeah, he takes it to the cake.
And so he does a little dance for her in his female bodysuit and hair, and then he kind of hunts her down. The exterminator's friend shows up. He basically gets his head chopped off. He doesn't last very long.
No, he does not.
And then you get to basically Art finally catches up to the woman, and someone, oh, the exterminator called the cops at some point. So she looks out the door. She thinks she sees the cops coming, but here it's Art in the truck. He comes blasting in the truck, in the exterminator truck, blasts the cave in, and finally the cops show up and they find Art standing over a woman's body, and Art shoots himself. And then the cops say the woman is still alive. And at around this point, I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, this whole thing is a flashback, isn't it? And
Yep.
then they show the hospital, and it says 1 year later, and the woman's in the hospital, and they say that she's being released and she was a great patient and they're going to miss her, and the family's like, oh, we're so glad she's coming home. And then they say, good luck on your interview tonight, and they show her face and it's the messed up crazy woman from the beginning of the movie. So the whole movie has been a flashback of what caused the woman at the beginning. And so it's like, holy shit, my mind is blown. I was not expecting
Yep.
that.
Yeah, it's like a twist, like at the end, like it shows you like the Hallows Eve, like one. That's what I was. was
Yeah,
saying like I if people have not watched it, I just prefer to do Hallows Eve 1 and then Terrifier. Just skip number 2.
yep, exactly. All Hallows Eve 2 is not worth watching, but All Hallows Eve 1 is
Yeah.
worth seeing just to see the first appearance of Art the Clown. Oh, and they do show Art the Clown shoots himself in the head with the, or he puts the gun in his mouth and pulls the trigger and blows his head off. And then they show him in the morgue and all the lights and sounds go crazy. And then he sits up and he has a bullet hole in the back of his head and he's still alive. So there is something supernatural about him. If there wasn't to begin
Yeah.
with, there is now, is basically how the
Right.
movie ends. Yeah. It's a really
Yeah.
good
So like
movie.
it is a very good movie. Number 2 is really good too.
So we'll be covering that in the near future. Our
Yes.
our plan is to record every 2 weeks to start with, eventually getting to every week. And because Valentine's Day is next week, our next episode will be talking about both the original and the remake of My Bloody Valentine. So
Yes.
that's what's
Even
coming.
though even though that I myself I'm an anti-Valentine person. So
Yeah. Do you celebrate Galentine's Day?
Valentine's?
Yeah.
No, not really. I mean,
Yeah.
I just watched Bloody Valentine and I call it good.
There you go. That's a good plan. Yeah, I've never been
Yeah,
huge
that's
on the
what I
Valentine's
do.
Day either. Yeah. So what other final thoughts do you have about Terrifier or Art the Clown?
I like Art the Clown over in general. And another thing I just learned about, I think last night, is David Howard Thornton, Art.
Hmm.
He was actually the sixth person to audition
Oh, really?
for Terrifier
Hmm.
because Mike was the original Art. I think he was getting he wasn't acting no more, I guess. And
Okay.
so David ended up got it, which that was
Okay.
kind of interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I really liked it. I actually liked it more than I thought I was going to. I all I ever heard about was the upside down saw scene, and I heard Art was crazy and that it was messed up and gory, and all of that is true. But on top of it, it's actually a really interesting story and clever, and just kind of how the little twists happen and how everyone ends up getting involved in this whole thing, and it kind of plays on some of the mind games of horror movies because you're expecting one thing to happen, but then it throws you a curveball and something else happens.
That's the best horror movies I can ever watch. It's like they you watch and it's like, oh, it's like a mind game. I like the psychological part of it. And then you try to put pieces together and you think what it's going to happen. Like, oh no, this is a whole different ball game.
Yep,
You know,
exactly.
I love those movies.
Me too. Exactly.
And I think you mentioned said something about this like I think like a week ago. They should do like a Terrifier like TV series or something like that.
Oh yeah,
You
that would
get
be
to
awesome.
know like Terrifier as itself, like Art.
Yeah, like
Like
where what.
how to become like Art. Why is he acting like this or something like that?
Hmm.
That'd be kind of
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah, definitely. Like why like I think my in my head he was just a normal crazy guy, but he did such messed up shit that like he got brought back from the dead as like a unholy nightmare.
Yeah, or something happened.
Yeah, you
That'd be
could,
interesting.
yeah, that would be explore the backstory a little bit.
Yeah, because they were thinking about doing that for Pennywise.
Oh
They
yeah.
were supposed to do like a TV show called Welcome to Derry. Well,
Oh yeah.
I haven't heard anything since then, so I really don't know what the update is on that. But they were thinking about doing that, and I think the storyline is for just for like how Pennywise came about and the origins and all that other stuff.
Sure.
So they were,
Cool.
yeah, I don't know what's going on with that one, but
Yeah.
who
I think
knows,
Stephen King has a lot of irons in the fire.
right?
He probably
Right.
loses track of who's doing what.
Right? He's so busy writing books and all that stuff.
Yep. Well, it looks like we're just about out of time. Hope you enjoyed the first episode of Talk Bloody to Me. And we appreciate if you like, share, and subscribe. We're on Facebook and Instagram.
Yep.
And other than that, thanks for listening.
Pandora, Spotify,
Apple
YouTube.
Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube.
So yeah,
Hopefully,
we
as
are
long as I figure
branching
out
out.
how to post it everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you.